Hey you guys, I'm sorry I'm running about 10 minutes behind. This day has been all kinds of crazy around my house. I know yesterday I did a live with a hat on, and I told you guys that I had a hair appointment tomorrow, and I guess somehow in my mind I thought it was that Tuesday was tomorrow, but it was actually Monday. So here I am with my bad hair day hat on. Ready to talk to you guys about Slim. We've got dinner cooking in the kitchen, because if you saw my post from a few seconds ago, I picked my kiddos up from school and went straight to the grocery store because we were going to do a roast chicken for dinner tonight. Went in to get the chicken and a couple of other things that I had on my meal planning. Came out, got home, had the whole thing. The plan was to have the whole thing prepped, ready to go in the oven right at 5 so I could jump on here and do this live, and wouldn't you know it, I forgot the chicken. So my husband saved the day by running to the store and picking it up, but he's having to finish like the last 5 minutes of the prep work before it goes in the oven. So I don't know if y'all can hear that like sizzling noise. If you can, just bear with me for about 5 minutes. It'll go away after that. So I wanted to come to you guys today. We're going to talk about Slim first of all. Mainly just because Slim is kind of the flagship product that Plexus is known for. It is the pink drink. It is the first product that I personally ever tried and ever expressed interest in. Oh, hey Tiff, I got it locally. I got it at Polka Dot Alley. So run by there and get one. It was like 15 bucks. Anyway, I need a Hot Works hat, Tiffany Voigt. Anyway, so back to Plexus Slim. I'm just gonna talk, first of all, I'm gonna go over some of the key ingredients of it with you guys, so that as you are visiting with people about it, or if you get questions from people and they're like, asking about whatever ingredient, you feel really equipped to discuss what that is. Oh my gosh, and now the dog is barking. Bless all the things. I should have done this while my kids were at school. Anyway, so jumping right into new Slim. First and foremost, the thing that really, I get asked a lot, what makes Slim different than, because we talk to people about the fact that it gives them energy, but it's not an energy drink. So how do we differentiate it from a product like Spark, or that's made by Advocare, or some of the other companies that are out there, or even like a 5-Hour Energy or a Red Bull? Well, first and foremost, the energy is coming from a clean source. It is not coming from caffeine. So the vast majority of like quote unquote energy drinks that are on the market are actually, like, the reason that it gives you energy is because it's loaded with caffeine, and oftentimes that caffeine isn't even coming from natural caffeine. It's coming from artificial or synthetic caffeine. So you can, if it'll say like caffeine anhydrous on it, you know that that is an artificial source of caffeine. It is a chemical source. It's not coming from even like coffee or something like that. There is green coffee in Slim, but it's less than 2% of natural caffeine. So it's basically the equivalent of caffeine that is in a cup of decaf coffee. We all know that nobody gets energy from drinking decaf coffee. So why are we getting this energy boost from Slim? Well, we're getting it for a couple of reasons. And mainly it comes from blood sugar balance. But the thing that we've always talked about in relationship to Plexus is that it works to balance blood sugars, it works to reduce inflammation, and it works to get your gut health in check. And inflammation can have an effect on the body in various ways. We typically associate inflammation with pain, but it also has a profound effect on mood. Inflammation also can be silent. You can have high inflammatory markers and not even be aware of it because you're not in pain. And so you don't think that you're struggling with inflammation. But anytime somebody is sick, anytime somebody is struggling with a chronic illness, with chronic pain, with stressful life situations, inflammation is typically ramped up into high gear, and that relates to your cortisol. So, you know, when we're trying to get people well, when we're trying to balance the blood sugar, reduce the inflammation, get the gut health in check, we are looking to remove the stress, whatever the source of it is. So if it's coming from food allergies, we want to address those. If it's coming from, you know, like just life going on, then we work on reducing stress management, whether that's a meditation practice or prayer or going on walks. And then we look at bringing nutrients back into the body, because when the body is in a stressful state, when the body is sick, nutritionally, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. So let's talk about the pink drink. You know, one of the things that I always teach people about Plexus is that the reason that it helps give you energy, the reason that it helps people to lose weight, the reason that it helps to reduce or diminish cravings is because of its effect on your blood sugar. Blood sugar imbalances cause a tremendous amount of stress on the body. They cause stress on your adrenals. There is a very dynamic and intimate relationship between insulin and cortisol, and those two things have to be in balance. Otherwise your body's going to continue to elevate your blood sugar. And when you have excess blood sugar or excess sugar floating around in your blood, so your blood sugar is being elevated, the body doesn't have anything to do with that other than store it as fat. So if you don't have extra sugars floating around in your bloodstream, your body is then able to switch from burning sugar for energy to burning fat for energy. And it brings those blood sugars back into balance. So the ingredients in Slim that really help to do that are the chromium polynicotinate. And so if you were to just talk about chromium or Google chromium, and chromium is a mineral, it's on the periodic table of elements, but there are varying different forms of it. The healthiest version of it, this is one of the things that I loved about Plexus from the beginning, is that they sourced chromium polynicotinate, which is basically chromium bound to niacin, which is a B vitamin. And chromium polynicotinate has been the one that has been clinically demonstrated to really help with managing blood sugars and bringing down blood sugars overall. Slim also contains alpha lipoic acid, which is an antioxidant. And hopefully, I mean, if you don't know what an antioxidant is, it basically is, you know, we deal in a world where we deal with what's called free radicals, and those free radicals cause damage to our cells and our cellular health. And so having a diet rich in antioxidants actually helps to combat the damage from free radicals and keeps us healthy at the cellular level. So alpha lipoic acid is another one of the key ingredients that helps to balance blood sugar. Now I'm going to be talking about New Slim today. I probably should have made that clear. The additions, so some changes that were made to Slim when we had the big reveal in May and in early June when it became available to everybody were, first of all, in the original version of Slim, it contained polydextrose. And polydextrose is basically an artificial food additive that's made to prevent like clumping, and it helps to work with texture. But a lot of people have issues with it. And especially a lot of your crunchier people, if they see polydextrose, you might have gotten questions about that. So one of the amazing things that Plexus did was it removed the polydextrose and it substituted it with I still can't even say this word. I'm not even going to attempt to say it. It's XOS. If you were to Google XOS, it would bring this up. But it's basically a saccharide, which is a prebiotic fiber. And so what happens with the addition of prebiotic fiber is that this goes to the, we were talking about blood sugar, inflammation, gut health. This speaks to the gut health portion of things, is that within your within your gut, you have what we call the microbiome. And the microbiome is full of bacteria, good and bad. And you want to make sure that you really cultivate and you take care of your good bacteria. And we're going to talk more about that when we talk about some of the other products this week. But basically, the XOS is like Miracle-Gro for your good bacteria. It feeds them and it provides them with the nourishment that they need so that they can grow and they can flourish and they can repopulate or recolonize themselves. Did you know that after one round of antibiotics, so a typical course of antibiotics is like 7 to 10 days, it can take up to a year for your body to get back to a baseline of where it was in terms of the gut health? Because the thing about antibiotics is they just kill all the bacteria. They're not intelligent enough to only kill the pathogen that's making you sick. It just kills off all of it. And then you've got to go in and you've got to rebuild that garden, so to speak. So that's one of the reasons why probiotics are such an important part of our gut health regimen. But the Slim, in addition to balancing the blood sugar, now it has this added component of feeding the good bacteria. I always tell you guys, think of it like Miracle-Gro for your good bacteria. The other great thing, because there's a lot of different prebiotics that are out there, XOS appears in clinical studies to only feed the good bacteria. So you wouldn't ever want to go and put Miracle-Gro on your weeds, right? You want to kill the weeds and you want to cultivate the good stuff. So that's what the XOS is doing. Some other changes that were made were to the flavor. The flavor now is more like, I tell people it tastes like a watermelon Jolly Rancher, but it has mulberry fruit extract in it now. Some other natural flavors. Used to, we had 2 sweeteners in Slim. It was stevia and lohan or monk fruit. Now it's just the stevia leaf, and it is the stevia rhododendron, which is the desirable version. So if you go to the grocery store to buy stevia, there's a product like called Truvia that's actually made by the Coca-Cola company. It has a version of stevia in it, but it's been so chemically processed that it's actually lost any medicinal or nutritional benefit that it once had. And so it's really key for people to know, if you get asked about, okay, well, what version of stevia are you using, make sure that they know that it's the rhododendron. Where does it get its color? We call it the pink drink. Where does it get its color from? It gets its color from beetroot extract, primarily, and other fruit and vegetable juices just for color. But the thing that I've always loved about Plexus is that even down to sourcing the color, beets have incredible health benefits from the standpoint of your cardiovascular system. So we know that one of the things that Slim has always helped to do is help to lower or benefit your lipid profile so that your cholesterol levels and all of that look better. And even just having that beetroot extract in there plays an important role in its ability to do that and its ability to help with your overall cardiovascular health. So what should your customers, or what should you as a consumer of Slim be expecting to experience in terms of result? Well, you should see, like I said, that increase in energy. For me, that was one of the very first things that I noticed. And, if you guys have been around for a while, you've heard me talk about the way that your circadian rhythm works and how there are key times throughout the day that your body experiences significant drops in cortisol. That happens usually around 10 a.m., around 2 p.m., and around 4 p.m. And if you'll ever notice, if you're just driving around town, check out the line at Starbucks at around 10 a.m. It's typically cars around completely wrapped around it. There's a reason that Sonic does happy hour at 4 o'clock or from like 3 to 5 or whatever time it is. It's because people are experiencing a drop in that cortisol, And because there isn't enough insulin present, the body immediately goes into sugar craving mode. So it wants something carby to eat or starchy. It wants some caffeine to drink. It wants some sugar. It wants a quick energy fix. And that was one of the first things that I noticed when I started Slim, is that I was not experiencing that kind of riding the wave of energy imbalances throughout the day. Because of that, because I wasn't relying on caffeine or sugar as a source of fuel anymore, my sleep started to get better. It improved significantly. And so those are, a couple of the things that you can expect to experience. Obviously, we know that we have clinically demonstrated weight loss. We know that we can see improvements in clarity and concentration. And we're going to start to see an increase in those good gut microbes. So that's really all I have today about Slim in terms of educating you guys about it. Now I want to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about troubleshooting with it a little bit. I will tell you from personal experience that when I started the new Slim, I jumped in, with both feet. It's like I did a cannonball into it, and really was not prepared to experience the level of detox that I experienced. And I think that Becky can echo this as well. I didn't really have like a return of symptoms necessarily. I just felt flu-like, achy, almost felt like I was running a low-grade fever for a couple of days. And of course, you're like, wait, I'm supposed to be feeling better on this. And this is one of the reasons why we want to train you guys on troubleshooting, because we want you to set your people up to succeed. Of course, we've been promoting and talking on Facebook and talking in private messages about how amazing this stuff is and how good it makes us feel. And then they get it in the mail and they start taking it and they don't feel so great the first couple of days. We've got to really prepare people for what is happening in their body. There's a massive shift because of that XOS that is going on in their gut microbiome. Two things are happening. One, all the good guys, all the good gut bacteria is now being fed. It's now getting the food and the nourishment that it needs to grow and to start repopulating quickly, literally like within 24 hours. The other thing that happens is, because I mentioned before that XOS doesn't feed the bad bacteria, now they are being starved off and they are dying, essentially. They're being, the good gut bacteria is growing, it's multiplying quickly, and it's essentially crowding them out. And when that happens, people are experiencing what we call die-off. And you can Google die-off symptoms, but die-off symptoms can range. In a milder case like mine, it can be exactly what I mentioned. I just felt run down for a couple of days. I didn't feel good. I actually felt like I kind of had a cold. And one of the things in researching XOS that I've discovered is that you have what's called gram-negative bacteria in your gut, and it's there for a purpose. But the XOS will actually help your body to produce more mucus. This is in a good way, not in a bad way. Mucus can actually be a good thing. But when that happens, like I said, I was like, oh my gosh, I almost feel like congested or like I'm coming down with a cold. So I just didn't feel great for a couple of days. Now, we have had other people that have, Becky being one of them, she had a pretty rough 2 weeks of die-off. And I don't necessarily have an explanation for what makes it different in one person versus another. But I do think that it is wisdom. Anytime you are starting a new person off on this product, to start them slowly and to start it one product at a time. So we are all very, very accustomed to recommending Triplex right off the bat. I mean, Triplex and Ease are my go-to 4 products that I want to get people on right away, and I'll talk more about why as we go through these 14 days of training. But if people get that box in the mail and they open it up and they just start taking it the way that it's labeled, and we don't give them some kind of a schedule of how to begin these products, and then they don't feel good, then they don't understand, A, what is causing them not to feel well, and B, it's hard to troubleshoot with them which product caused what. So my personal recommendation that I am telling my new customers, my new ambassadors is, if they are a pretty healthy person, they don't have any major health issues that they're struggling with, they're not trying to overcome, they're not getting on Plexus because they're trying to overcome an autoimmune condition, I would say start off with a half a stick of Slim and do that for the first 3 to 4 days. And then you're going to check in with them at the 3 to 4 day mark and say, how are you feeling? But remember, you're going to already have had a conversation with them before they get their products in the mail about the shift that is going to be happening in their gut, and let them know that they might experience feeling crummy for a couple of days. You check in with them at the 4 day mark and they're like, either they were good to go or they're like, I felt not so great for a couple of days, but I powered through and I'm good. Go ahead and have them go up to the full stick of Slim and just keep monitoring and checking in with them from there. But if you've got somebody who already is struggling with a health issue, especially people within the autoimmune community, I would highly, highly recommend that you go very, very low and slow with them. Have them start off with a quarter stick of Slim and maybe even hold there for a week to 2 weeks so that you can, and check in with them frequently or have them check in with you. Remind them of things that they can do to ease detoxing, like taking things like activated charcoal can help, drinking lemon water can help. There are essential oils out there that people are probably familiar with that they can take that will help. But it's always better to prepare people in advance for the fact that, and I love, like Becky always says, she gets excited when people come to her and say, oh, I'm experiencing detox, because we're like, hey, it's working. It's doing its job. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And so be encouraging about detoxification from that standpoint, so that from the get-go, if they do experience some detox, they aren't immediately turned off or scared off by the product. It's always going to be, every person is so highly individual that what works perfectly for one group of people may not work as perfectly for another group of people. So my takeaways for troubleshooting the Slim are, start off low and slow. There's a graphic that we have that I think has been posted several times, but we can post it in the comments of this live again, and this went a little longer than I anticipated it to. I apologize for that. That shows like a schedule of how to start them off on the triplex, and I would encourage you to follow that. Tomorrow I will be talking about BioCleanse and ProBio 5 both at the same time. So I'm going to prepare you for that. And then the day after, I'm going to talk to you guys about Ease, because I want you guys to really understand why I feel like those 4 products are so important. The other thing that I did forget to mention when we were discussing what sets this new Slim apart even from the original version is when they added the XOS to Slim. So XOS has been studied and has been used. It's not like it's a product that is just limited to Plexus. It's been around. But the clinical studies, what surprised the researchers was when you combine XOS, so that prebiotic fiber, with polyphenols, which polyphenols are micronutrients that also have an antioxidant activity. They also act like a prebiotic, so they help to increase that ratio of beneficial bacteria in your gut, which that's important for everything. It helps to reduce inflammation, helps with the cardiovascular system, helps actually protect your skin against UV radiation. It's another way that helps to normalize blood sugar, promote healthy blood pressure, etc. But it's that combination. So we have green coffee bean extract. I mentioned that at the very beginning. That's where that 2%, that little bitty 2% of caffeine comes from. But it's chlorogenic acid. And chlorogenic acid is one of the most highly bioavailable forms of polyphenols. So the combination of the XOS prebiotic fiber and the polyphenols that were already in Slim to begin with are where we saw that massive increase in the amount of Akkermansia, Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus, and that's where we saw that adding the prebiotic fiber was going to have such a massive impact on the gut flora and gut population, even without the Probio 5 or the Vital Biome, which we'll talk about later. So if you guys have questions, if you weren't able to hop on and you have some questions, be sure and post them in the comments. I will be checking back over here, and I will be hopping on tomorrow to talk about Probio 5 and BioCleanse. So I look forward to seeing you guys then, and I'll make sure and let y'all know a little bit ahead of time of when I'm going to pop on, okay? Have a great evening.